Now, some of you might already know that this week in South Africa, it is a very interesting week because not only will we be getting the cost of living or the CPI figures on Wednesday, but on Thursday, we'll be getting the interest rate decision, which that, ladies and gents, it is very important to all the consumers in South Africa who have got loans, that is house loans, car loans, credit card loans, because with the decision or the interest rate decision that we'll get on Thursday, it will determine if your repayments, ladies and gents, are staying the same or they are going up, which chances are very high that it might be steady, because even analysts, ladies and gents, as seen on the screen, are expecting or projecting interest rates to stay where they are and not increase, of which if we get to see the decision coming out like that, I think it's still good. Though I know that of course there are some of the consumers and maybe probably few analysts who are thinking that the SA Reserve Bank might start thinking about cutting, of course, these interest rates, which some of the economists are saying it is too soon for us to see interest rates being cut by the SA Reserve Bank. Now, before I dig deep in this video, you already know that this video is just an entertainment video and not a professional financial advice video. So if you are to enjoy the content that I'll be giving you about what we are to expect this week out of both the inflation figures, because inflation is very important, or the CPI figures that are coming out on Wednesday first are very important, because those are the figures that will make the SA Reserve Bank to either increase or keep interest rates where it's currently sitting at. So if you enjoy this kind of content, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, because on this channel I talk a lot about the stock market or the news that have a huge impact into our local companies, or the companies that we invest in, whether locally or internationally. I know maybe most of my videos I'm talking about international stocks, but please do know that of course I also cover stocks locally, or there are some stocks which I cover locally, and the kind of news, or this kind of news, that have a huge impact into not only consumers but the companies we invest in. So hit the like button if you are to enjoy this kind of content. Now, the CPI figure, which is expected to take place on Wednesday, it is very important going into Thursday, because that will determine if whether the SA Reserve Bank will either increase or keep interest rate steady where it is, and that is at 8.25, or prime of 8.25%. Now, you will know that with the CPI figures, we are currently sitting at 4.7%, or based on last month's report, we are sitting at 4.7%, which is something that was good, because, ladies and gents, inflation or CPI figures in South Africa have been going down, which is something that is of course good, or taken as a very good sign, which is why we also saw, of course, the last interest rate decision meeting, the SA Reserve Bank not considering to increase interest rates, which, should we get a continuation of a decline from, of course, the CPI figures, I think, coming out on Wednesday, this will be a good, of course, a sentiment going into Thursday, because Thursday, as I've said, the interest rates decisions are usually based on the current inflation figures or CPI figures, which, if they come out positive or better than what analysts expect, or at least remain constant, that is supposed to be taken as a very good sign going into Thursday. Then we might see, obviously, the SA Reserve Bank maybe keep making or keeping the interest rates at steady, or at 8.25%, which will be not that bad. But if we get them to become worse, or if we get those figures or CPI figures coming out on Wednesday to be bad, then there is some slight chance that we'll see, of course, the SA Reserve Bank reacting to that, trying to mitigate or cut, or make sure that the inflation remains, of course, within the 3 to 6%, because you know that, of course, yes, though we are somewhere between 3 and 6% inflation in South Africa, ladies and gents, I think what the, of course, SA Reserve Bank is targeting is for it to come back at least below the average of between 3 and 6%. So they might want to see it first playing around this 4.5%, or on average for 4.5%, before they can start thinking about cutting interest rates. In fact, the analysts, ladies and gents, they are saying the cut to these interest rates might actually come in 2024. So they are saying 2023 we might forget, or we need to at least forget about interest rates being cut, but it should be something that we look forward into 2024, because they believe that then at 2024 the SA Reserve Bank will start cutting interest rates. I mean, I'm very excited. I mean, the fact that we are on a road where we'll see the SA Reserve Bank going to cut interest rates, because, ladies and gents, that is not only good to consumers, but it will also be good to the companies locally, because, ladies and gents, when they want to go out there and look for money to grow their business, their repayment won't be as much as what they would pay now if you probably go and get the loan to fund their business. So I'm very excited about this, and I think it will give a boost not only to the consumers to go once again next year and look for loans, because even the repayments, ladies and gents, to those companies that we're investing in right now, it's quite high. It means that they have to pay much more than what they were paying a year or two ago, which is something that is not good, right? Because of these interest rates or high interest rates that we are seeing South Africa currently sitting at. But the good sign, or the good thing, as I've said, is that the CPI or the inflation figures are coming down, which is something that of course will result in the SA Reserve Bank to start thinking about cutting interest rates, which the economists and analysts are seeing that taking place next year in 2024. So yes, these two events are very important this week, so I think we should I'll be closely monitoring them, because they are very important, as I've said. Otherwise, there is also the US interest rate decision meeting, which is supposed to come also on Wednesday, which that event, it is very important into the US markets, which is another event that I'll also be taking a close looking into those results, because last week you'll know that the CPI figures came out a bit worse than what analysts expect in the US, which this meeting, it will be very important to see what the Fed or the Federal Reserve in the US is thinking about in terms of either raising interest rates or keeping them where they are. So I'll also be closely monitoring that. Otherwise, I just thought I'd just give you this quick update. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. And once subscribed, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And of course, amongst these, of course, activities or these reports that are coming or expected to come this week, you'll know that there are some of the local companies that of course did really well last week. I mean, look at companies like Sibanye Stillwater, it saw a very huge recovery locally. Look at companies like Sun International, or obviously after reporting their interim, of course, financials, or their 6 months financial for the period ending in June of 2023, we saw them, of course, surging in terms of the share price. So there are some of the companies that I talk a lot about on this channel locally that did really well last week, which of course I hope to see them continue, of course, improving or increasing in terms of the share price, which will bring excitement to those that invest into those kind of companies. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.